There's no responsibility.
Academically.
It's before the call to order. So.
If everyone would, before we get started, I'm going to ask Dr. Gardenauer if he will oversee the election of the board chair. After we have elected our chair and vice chair, then we can actually start the meeting.
Okay, I just wanted to say welcome to Mr. Pless and Mr. O'Quinn, our two new board members, and both have been sworn in and we're ready to go ahead and do our chair election. So the way this will work will be that we'll go through and we will take nominations, and then each will require a motion and a second. And after that motion and a second, the board member will say, I would like to nominate this person for chair. And then after they say they would like to nominate them for chair, I'll ask if we have a second. And then after that, two things could happen at that point. If we don't have a second, then the motion will die on the floor and we'll continue with other nominations for the chair. If we do have a second, I'll then ask the board member if they would like to serve in that capacity. And if it's a yes, then we will do a voice call vote in order to have the chair. Okay? We'll do the same process for a vice chair after we nominate the chair. And the chair will then run the process after that, or if you'd like me to, I'd be happy to after that. If the board chair would like me to do that, I'd be happy to. All the people up here meet the requirements to be chair or vice chair once they're sworn in under oath, and they all have been. And Ms. Perkins put a copy of the board policy that governs this in there. Okay, so I'm going to start out. Would anybody like to make a motion for someone to be the chair?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to recommend Dr. May.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I would second that motion.
Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second. And they would like to nominate Dr. May for chair. Dr. May, would you like to serve as the chair?
I would like to say that I would be very honored to do so, but I'm overcommitted, as you can see, like running in late from surgery and things. I thought about that a lot. I know that we have had opportunities to do a lot for our kids, and I would love to do that at some point in my career. However, I think that I would do a disservice to the system at this point with the numerous things that I am already chairing and or leading out in. I do think that I want to say that I appreciate your vote of support, and I look forward to working together with all of us. That said, I think that I would like to make a nomination for Rita to continue for the reason that you've been doing a great job thus far, and because you have a lot of experience. I would also like to say I don't want to continue to do vice chair either for the same reasons.
Understood. Okay. So Dr. May has declined. We'll go back. And would you like to make a motion
I made
for
that
Rita?
motion, yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Rita, would you like to serve as the chair?
I would be happy to,
Okay.
if that's what the board wants.
We have a motion and a second and an acceptance from Rita to be the chair. Ms. Perkins, would you call the roll?
Mr. Isaacs,
Yes.
Mr. O'Quinn,
Yes.
Mr. Pless,
Yes.
Dr. May,
Yeah. Yes.
and Ms. Boer.
Yes. Thank you all. And why don't you just go ahead and
Okay.
do for the vice.
All right. We're going to make a motion. Does anybody have a motion for vice chair?
Mr. Isaacs, would you be willing to do that?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I would second that.
All right. Mr. Isaacs, would you be willing to serve? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, and an acceptance from Mr. Isaacs. Ms. Perkins, would you please call the roll?
Mr. O'Quinn,
Yes.
Mr. Pless,
Yes.
Dr. May,
Yes.
Ms. Boer,
Yes.
Mr. Isaacs.
Yes.
Well, then I would like to officially call the December Elizabethton City Schools Board of Education meeting to order. If everyone would, again, I would like to echo Dr. Gardenauer and welcome Mr. O'Quinn and Mr. Pless, and welcome to the board. And if everyone would, please stand, and Dr. Gardenauer is going to lead us in a moment of silence and pledge of the flag.
Let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Gardenauer, if you'd like to recognize these folks for us.
We'd love to have Dan Mills, Director of our Aviation Program, recognize a few students.
All right, it's a privilege to be here again, and I know the former and current board members, but the new board members, I just want to, from my perspective, remind you guys it's not about numbers, it's about individuals, okay? About the impact that we as a school board and teachers and faculty and staff and administrators have on each of these young men and women. That's why we're there. And sometimes we may not realize it while they're there, but sometimes we get those letters in the mail that I just got one last week that just, said, I told my wife, this is why I'm at Elizabethton High School, because of one of the decisions that one of the men made that's in the Naval Academy right now. And it's a privilege to be there. So tonight we have 3 young men we want to honor. And this summer we had 4 out of our aviation program that actually soloed. That means where I get out of the airplane or Mr. Rice gets out of the airplane, and we let them go by themselves. And talk about project-based learning, CTE. We've been doing this a long time, okay? This is project-based learning at the most. You know, as an instructor, when you have the confidence to get out of the airplane and let that young person get up in the airplane by themselves with all the liability and responsibility and the families there, that's where the rubber hits the road, right there. And again, thanks for the school board for allowing us to have an aviation program as Elizabethton High School. The first young man we'd like to introduce is Lucas Howley. And Lucas graduated in May, right? And he's over at ETSU now. And had the privilege of flying with Lucas. And it's just a real honor to get to know Lucas and to fly with him. So, again, congratulations, Lucas, for you. Second young man I would like to introduce is, just after we're going to get a picture, is Tanner Marshall. And Tanner's another one of those young men that just love to have in class. All 3 of these young men I just love to have in class, and I'm really sad because this semester I haven't had any of them, and so I'm sad about that. But I've got some new ones coming up. So Tanner Marshall, congratulations. And then I've got a real honor to introduce Al Rice. Al and I worked at Moody Aviation for years and years and years, and anytime I had to be gone or I was sick or something, I really was just really upset about leaving my students in just a sub. I hate to say just a sub, but really they didn't learn a lot. And so I twist Al Rice's arm a long time, and finally he agreed to be my substitute. So I have complete confidence when I'm gone, Al comes in, and a lot of times he knows a lot more than I do, and I share that with the students. There's areas that Al's had experience that I don't have, and Al is just, and Al's been just a tremendous resource. And so when his grandson was getting ready to think about solo, I asked Al, I said, would you be willing to work with him? And so the administration worked, and we got the liability insurance and all that. Al was on it. So I'm going to turn this over to Al and let you say a word or two, Al.
It really was a pleasure and a joy to be able to fly with Carson and solo him out. I just want to express appreciation to the aviation program, to Dan Mills and the work that they've done in landing foundation. I got the icing on the cake to just do the flying part of it, but the time that Carson spent in the classroom and the simulator really had laid a good foundation for the flying part, and we had a good time. And I would be remiss not to also express appreciation to the Brummett family for providing the airplane at the rate that these guys are able to fly it at. It's a real privilege for them. And so, Carson, congratulations.
And just come in here, Al. Just so you know, Al mentioned Ken Brummett. He's passed away not too long ago, but his son's going to keep the airplane and keep offering it to us. If you go out to the airport and rent an airplane like what we're using, it's $140 an hour, and we're getting it for $10 an hour.
Wow.
And the Brummett family, their main motivation is, in each of these young men that solo and young ladies that solo, they sign a statement that they will stay off of drugs and alcohol and any tobacco products while they're in high school. And that's their main motive, because they see the destructive of those things on these young people. So that's a tremendous commitment.
Now we'll have Chris Berry come and give a report on T.A. Duggar.
Guys, I'm Mr. Berry, I'm the principal at T.A. Duggar. I've got just a slideshow that's going to run as I talk, just with some pictures. I'd like to credit Miss Morris and her XQ group that's been primarily the one taking the pictures. T.A. Duggar's had a lot going on this year. We've been very active. One of our biggest successes that I feel like we've accomplished, we have partnered with Niswonger with a grant which has already spent $8,000 on putting books in T.A. Duggar, and we're continuing to work with Niswonger. We have a literacy rep that comes every Monday to work with our teachers, both in starting with language arts and social studies, but with all of our school, and they're going to continue to fund our literacy. We're actively working on our literacy. All groups are working, whether it's science, social studies, on having a reading time during class, and that's become a primary focus. Lots of project-based learning. The high school is obviously very involved with the XQ process, but we are as well at the middle school. Some of the pictures that you just saw, Ms. Henry has partnered up with Dr. Wandell, and her 6th grade group worked with him with technology devices. They met with him, discussed some of the things that he uses in his life, and then they took those things and tried to improve on them or create new objects that may help someone with ALS or anybody that would be in a wheelchair base. Ms. Morris's Bartleby group has been very active in lots of projects. The most current was the barn quilt project, where they use literature and art. So lots of activity there, and that's just a couple of the different project-based learnings that are going on. We've also partnered up with the high school. Several projects are going on. One of the most successful this year is the Like a Girl club that has been created. We've got 2 high school students that have come down and worked with our young girls with a variety of things. We've also done a fundraiser for the animal shelter with the high school, just in partnering. So there's lots of good partnerships there as well. One of the things I'm really proud about is our student media. We've created a newsletter that goes out once a month that's created with our gifted program. They're doing everything, all the legwork that they've created. One of our groups is doing a PowerPoint every day. They run the PowerPoint in the mornings to keep the kids updated, and they update the slideshows to let them know what's going on. And then Ms. Morris's group actually has a video crew that does a video every Friday, kind of a newscast of what's happened that week. So very active there. We're excited about the clubs that we've created. We've got a Builders Club to go along with the Key Club that we're very proud of. Guitar Club. We've started a book club, our FBLA club, and Like a Girl, which all have very active membership and doing lots of good things. We've done a lot of good things in the community. We've done a very successful food drive that we've already had. We've expanded a closed closet. Nurse Haichu and her daughter started a really successful program there, and our gifted kids have kind of partnered with them and have expanded that. And like I said, our collection for the animal shelter that we've done. Also, groups going out and working with homeless in Johnson City, which was on the slide. Our athletics are phenomenal. We had an undefeated football season, both with our JV and our varsity football. Soccer was a good success. Basketball, the girls just lost their first game this week, but are doing very well as the boys basketball. And we've almost got 200 band students involved at the middle school level. So we're extremely proud about that. We are very thankful what our central office staff has worked as far as improvements in our school. We've created a much safer environment as far as going out to the shop area. We've created a fenced-in area to where students are not, at the time they were using kind of an access where the driveway works through, so we're actually going around in a much safer area, and it's much secure as far as the locks and setup. So that's a big addition that we've had at TA Duggar. The thing that I'm most proud of, though, is just our success with our students and our teachers. Our teachers, they care for our kids. They know our kids. I've talked a lot about what the Gifted's doing and the Bartleby groups. I'm proud of those groups, and they're doing a lot of great things. But I'm proud of our behavior mod. We're making strides. We're making the same strides, but they're working hand in hand with these students to try to make small gains. And that's our goal, is to try to work with each and every one of our students. And I feel like our teachers, we've got one of the best middle schools in East Tennessee, if not the state. I'm proud of them and what they're doing. And if we can just continue to build on those relationships, inch by inch, we'll do much better. But like I said, I'm very proud of our students at TA Duggar and what we're transitioning from the elementary to the middle school level, and very proud of my teachers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. It's time for citizens to speak in accordance with Board Policy 1.404. No one requested to be added to the agenda, so we're going to move on to the consent and regular agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the consent or regular agenda? Hearing none. Item on the floor is to approve the consent and regular agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Gardenauer, your report, please.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to attend this Friday. I'll have a Science Technology Day over at ETSU, and it's going to be tremendous. They have people coming in to, not only did ETSU write a grant, and it's giving our science teachers free materials that are coming, but they also are going to show us how to use some of those things. I think it'll be really benefit that, and it's to the tune, there's thousands of dollars worth of materials coming to us this week. A commons area update, we are working we've had some bids, and we have our sign companies working on what the finalized look is going to be. Mr. Boatman worked trying to get pictures of all of our kids, and some of them have not worked in the format, so we're kind of reworking that a little bit. The sign companies are, to make sure we finish that. We're also adding a little bit of additional light in there, and that will be completed very soon. But we're just almost substantially complete minus the furniture. Furniture Day is going to be somewhere around January, we think. January 22nd will be the day when that arrives, and we are starting the process of doing all the paperwork to surplus all those chairs, but we are going to try to fish those chairs and tables. If we have some good ones, teachers that may need something, we obviously give that to them. And the big cafeteria tables that are very expensive, we want to make sure that we have all the cafeteria tables that we need in other places to go through the system and make sure if any principals want to have a crack at those before we'd surplus those or put them out surplus and then sell them, we would do that. So we're in the process of doing that, and it'll probably take us a month to get all that arranged. We did have a bid on the fencing at the old hospital property. I'll share that with the board this week by email to kind of give you an idea of what fencing would cost there, and then we're going to decide whether that's a priority or not. We're also working on some signage for that, and we'll get the signage package out to you so you can see what is there for the LaPorte Family Athletic Complex. We had a great meeting this past week. Mr. Campbell invited a group by the name of Labaki in to work with us on virtual reality. And there's a lot of work in the United States going on. I maybe didn't realize how much is going on. But it might be a good market for a place like Elizabethton to try to look at something like this and look at what they're doing in it. And one of the things, contracts they're working on, is they're making a virtual Walmart where people can shop at their house and actually look at the items that are there. And they're training and support for employees anywhere from Lockheed Martin to naval shipyards, teaching them how to fix engines, and even in the future our aviation program. We think that might be a good opportunity. So we'll be looking at that. We're thinking right now that our first meeting for a demo for the board, if you could attend, we'll get more information out, but we're thinking it's going to be January 11th. And it'll probably just be for our people here within the school system to try to see if this is something that we want to look at in the future.
What time would that be? Don't
We're
know.
thinking 10 o'clock. That may move to 9 depending on the schedule of the gentleman who's coming from there. But we're tentatively set for that date. Also, we wanted to wait till the new board was on till we could do a planning and vision meeting to talk about the future of what we want to look at and look at our 5-year plan of things we want to accomplish. So if you would send Rita dates that you think would be good in the month of January, we would love to be able to sit down and talk about where we want to move and try to get our capital improvement plan up to date of what we want to tackle. That way we can send that to the city by budget time.
Dr. Gardner, if I could interrupt you one moment. While you're talking with this gentleman about the dates, we have just approved professional leave for Mr. Pless and Mr. O'Quinn to go for training with TSBA on January 10 and 11.
Okay. We'll
Just
call him. That's not a
wanted
problem.
to
We can
point that out
we
That's
can
good.
before you get too far.
thank you for letting us know. We'll try to work on that. Okay. We did have a fire marshal visit. We have 2 projects that we're looking at. We were going to start at the second semester. They want some more drawings from us on our makerspace and our amphitheater outside. So that'll delay us just a little bit in the fact that they have some things they want to approve and make sure. So I have called Mr. Weems to come and maybe just get us an idea, estimate how much those new plans will cost us and what we want to do there. This is kind of interesting. Mr. Boatman sent me a email recently about a rock. They want a large rock for the high school to have a pride rock there. Our students have come up with that, thought that would be a great idea, and want to have that. I think UT and other places have those, and so we're on the hunt for a rock. And
There are things you never think you're going to hear in a board meeting,
Well,
and that's one of them.
So they've been researching. Mr. Smith and Maggie Denellen have been started on that to try to help out with that. And if you have any opinions on the rock, let us know. But we were thinking right out beside the front entrance, but on beyond, close to where the English pod juts out there. We thought that might be a place for student expression and that type of thing. So
I heard there's a
Yeah.
company that you can get a piece of the rock. I think it's the Prudential.
Oh, you couldn't, you just had to,
Couldn't
didn't
resist
you?
it. Couldn't resist it. Prudential.
So, anyway, we're looking into that. And last thing, I'll just ask for Regina Wilder to come up at the end. When we get to that item, I'll ask you to come up and talk about it. Thank you very much.
There was one thing that was on each of our little areas in front of our chairs. It's a letter from Perry Elliott that he asked that we read, and so I'm going to read that if you don't mind. And it says, "Dear Dr. Gardenauer and school board members, at this time I want to thank you for your support of the award-winning Elizabethton High School Band. The past 4 years have been an exciting and rewarding time. The band's performance at Neyland Stadium with the Pride of the Southland Band, marching at Walt Disney World in the Magic Music Days Parade, and winning a Tennessee Division II state championship were possible with your financial support. The members of the Elizabethton City Schools Board of Education should be proud of the fine arts departments and their continued success. Knowing this success is the result of the importance placed on these programs in our school system. I want to thank Dr. Corey Gardenauer for his unwavering support of the instrumental music program. He has made it his personal goal to help fund this program. In a time of shrinking budgets and changing priorities, he has made a difference in a tangible way for a program that enrolls 20% of the students in our secondary schools. I've been very proud to be an employee of Elizabethton City Schools. The letters, calls, and continued support from this and past administrations have made all the difference for me. In closing, I look forward to working with our new school board and hope that you will find the band program and the students deserving of your continued support as we attempt to represent what is best about the Elizabethton City Schools. Sincerely, Perry Elliott." So he just asked if we would read that. So, all right. So if you've read your report, we're going to move on to the regular agenda. First item is approve update to corporate resolution with Citizens Bank changing the names of approved signers and users to reflect the current Elizabethton City Schools Board membership and designated secretary. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
This item simply is just making sure that we've updated it to the new board and making sure that we're compliant.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Just a reminder,
And
everybody
everybody
has
has
to
to sign
stay
it?
and sign
Yeah.
Yes.
before they don't leave.
Item on the floor, approve update to corporate resolution with Citizens Bank changing the names of approved signers, users to reflect the current ECS board membership and designated secretary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next item, approve passive permission of the administration of the Tennessee Together Student Survey to ECS students in grades 8, 10, and 12. Administration of this survey will be supervised by Regina Wilder, ECS Coordinated School Health Director. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you. And have a second?
Second. Okay. Ms. Wilder?
This survey was brought earlier in the fall to the board from the Carter County Drug Prevention Coalition. I enclosed a letter just kind of stating what would have to happen. This will be 8th, 10th, and 12th graders, and it is a census survey, so that means every single student would take it. This is a little different than some of the surveys we get from the Department of Ed, which usually we're randomly selected just to do a few classes. So this would entail some logistics with T.A. Duggar and the high school. So I didn't know if you all had any questions other than what I had provided. It will take about 40 minutes, so probably an entire class period once we actually get the students to a central location.
And the goal of the survey, what it's come out of?
Yes, this would be an alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs type of survey specifically. So it would go into a little more in-depth than the youth risk behavior survey that the Department of Ed asks us to be a part of if we're chosen every other year. This is more specific, and the reason I'm asking for passive permission is that it's so difficult to gather the active permission. So, and especially if we're doing all of the 8th, 10th, and 12th grade.
So this is anonymous, it's confidential.
Yes,
Okay.
paper and pencil. We'll have to let the people who are administering it know, and then they'll send us all the materials for the survey.
It's at no cost to us, but it is time.
Exactly, it's time out of the classroom, and it's also time to get the students all together somewhere, because I think it would probably be best to do it all at one time. Therefore, you don't have the students talking about the survey all through the day, or
Would
over
you
the
use
course.
the cafeteria, probably?
I would think cafeteria at the high school and maybe auditorium at T.A. Duggar.
Do you know when it was slated to be done, performed?
They really had wanted it to be done in the fall, so I know they're doing it at some of the other Carter County schools, but I think we could still ask them to provide the materials for us, and we could do it in the spring.
Wondering if it could be timed where the 40 minutes or 40 minutes where the students are sitting there a lot of times. These ones right before Christmas break, these ones right before you get out, can you time it in a way where the 40 minutes are less impactful to the teachers' times?
I'm thinking that letting them know and then having them send us all of the supplies, that would probably be too short of a turnaround.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Helena, for bringing this to us as a
No problem.
part of the.
Do you want to
what
tell, because this was kind of, you brought this to the board, do you want to say anything about this? Okay. All right. Item on the floor, approve passive permission of the administration of the Tennessee Together Student Survey to ECS students in grades 8, 10, and 12. Administration of this survey will be supervised by Ms. Wilder, our coordinated school health director. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We had one item that we had to add. This one's very time sensitive. It is approve the 2018 compliance report. Oh, it's on the consent agenda. Oh, then we don't have to do it. Yay. Well, that's exciting. All right. Then, having said that, our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, January 15th, 6:30 here. I'd like to wish Mr. Pless and Mr. O'Quinn to be safe traveling to Nashville for your training. And to everybody else, Merry Christmas. Spend this time with your friends and family, and we will see you then. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.